this leads to a real mystery. If capitalism is this successful, if capitalism has been successful in the past and is so successful today, then why is it that so much of Europe and America are moving away from capitalism? And it's not just Europe and America. I was just in South America. And in South America, you have two experiments going on. You have Chile, which during the 1980s and 90s became very pro-market, right? Relatively economically free, and its economy has done fantastically well. The richest country in South America, even though it's a relatively small country in terms of population. Then you've got Venezuela, who is very rich in resources, but has adopted a populist, socialist governance, and where the population is becoming poorer and poorer and poorer almost every day. And yet, right now, as we speak, more countries in South America are trying to be like Venezuela than are trying to be like Chile. And indeed, Chile just recently voted for a socialist president who promised to undo all the free market reforms that have worked so well in Chile. Now that's a real mystery. It's very strange. If we care about wealth, if we care about quality of life, if we care about standard of living, if we care about how the poor are doing, we should all be capitalists. And yet, very few people are capitalists. I mean, capitalists in the sense of advocating for a free market, consistent free market. Almost nobody is a capitalist. We have tiny minorities in almost every country around the world. And as I said, America and Europe are moving away from capitalism. More and more statism, more and more regulations, more and more redistribution of wealth. Latin America is moving away from capitalism in spite of the fact that they can see Venezuela. They can see people starving. They can see people leaving Venezuela and coming back with suitcases full of toilet paper and soap, because there's no toilet paper and soap in Venezuela because of the socialist policies. Doesn't change anybody's mind. It doesn't matter one iota. We hate capitalism. As a culture, we hate it. Now, Poland you might feel, this isn't quite true of Poland. Yeah, because you've experienced communism recently enough that you're still moving in the right direction. Wait 10, 20 years. You'll get a little comfortable, you'll have a good life, and you'll vote for the socialists very quickly, because that's the pattern of everywhere in the world. And I suspect you're not that different than the rest of the world. It's already happening. We don't have to wait 10, 20 years, right? So we have to ask the question why. We have to ask the question why because our future depends on it. Because if I'm right, and I'm open to challenges during the Q&A about whether I'm right, but if I'm right and capitalism is such a good system for wealth creation, for income, for standard of living, for the poor, and so on, then why are we turning our backs on it? Why do we? So this is the moral code we live in today. It's a moral code that dominates the West. It's a moral code that says building, creating, making stuff, that's selfish, who cares? Giving it away, that's good. Sharing, that's good. We teach our kids. You know, your kid, I don't know how many of you have kids, but your kid is playing in the sandbox, right? And some strange kid comes up and says, I want to share with your trucks. I want to play with your trucks. And what do we as parents say? You got to share. Johnny, you got to share. Right? Don't trade. God forbid you should actually get something in return. No, you just got to give. You just got to share. That's socialism. We're training our little kids to be little socialists, and then we're surprised that when they grow up, they vote socialist. Right? Next time, if you have kids, ask them to trade. Johnny wants to play with your truck. What does he have that you could play with? Right? Win-win. Just like Apple doesn't give these away, and you don't give your money away. We trade as adults. So in my view, as long as this moral code exists, as long as we believe that the essence of morality, that the essence of goodness is sacrifice, selflessness, the essence of nobility is giving and sharing, capitalism is dead. Capitalism doesn't have a chance. And every time we try it a little bit and we get a little rich, and then we start thinking not just about money, not just about our quality of life, but we start looking about what's good, we reject it. We turn our backs to it. Rich societies can afford to be moral societies. And when you can afford to be moral, you turn your back on capitalism. You turn your back on the system of self-interest, because that's what it is. We were taught self-interest is bad. Our philosophers teach us. Since Immanuel Kant, every philosopher has said self-interest is evil. Our preachers teach that. All of the religions teach that self-interest is bad. And our mothers teach it. And our teachers teach it. Now, no mother means it, right? She doesn't actually mean think of yourself last. She wants you to be successful, and that was the point you were making, right? She wants you to be successful. But morality demands that she tell you, think of yourself last, think of others first, be selfless. This is a moral code consistent with the left. It's not consistent with freedom. It's not consistent with capitalism. And it cannot survive. Capitalism cannot survive. People do not vote their pocketbook. They don't vote what will make them money. People vote what will make them feel good. People vote justice. This is why Piketty and the whole inequality debate is framed in terms of justice. Not in terms of economics, but in terms of morality. People want to believe that they are good people, that they are just people, that they are virtuous people. So for example, in the United States, right, in California where I live, there was a ballot initiative that everybody voted on. And the ballot initiative said, we're going to raise taxes on rich Californians by 30%. So from 10% to 13.3%. Right? This is on top of the federal taxes. This is just state taxes. So a big increase in taxes for the rich. How do you think rich people voted? They voted for it. They voted for it. Why? Because they wanted to be good. They felt that it was necessary to penalize themselves in the name of morality. And they were told, oh, if you don't give us the extra tax money, we're going to have to shut down some schools, we're not going to have to pay for welfare, right? So, rich people vote for their own taxes to go up because they feel guilty for making the money. Because what happens when you live your life being self-interested, but you're taught that morality is really being, I don't know, Mother Teresa? But you don't want to be Mother Teresa. Who the hell wants to be Mother Teresa? Nobody wants to be Mother Teresa. So we all live our lives, but we know that morality demands that we be something else. What is the emotion that conflict creates? Guilt. And guilt is an incredible, powerful tool to control people. This is what Jewish and Catholic mothers discovered a long, long time ago. And what statists, what rulers, what authoritarians have discovered a long, long time ago. You control people by using guilt against them. So rich people in the United States vote against their interest all the time because they feel guilty. They're told, you see over there, they're poor people and they need stuff. You have money. It's your moral responsibility to give it to them. But you're too greedy. You're too selfish. You're not doing it voluntarily. So we are here from the government and we're here to help you be a better person. You're not giving them money voluntarily, so we're going to raise your taxes. Do you agree with that? Yes, 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 please. Let me feel good about myself by raising my taxes. And it works. Obama, who ran for president last election, on the promise to raise taxes on the rich, how did the rich vote? 8 out of 10 of the richest counties in the United States voted for Obama. Right? They voted to raise their own taxes. But that's okay. Made them feel good. Because now they were taking care of those people they're supposed to take care of and they've been neglecting. So that's one way in which the welfare state, the redistribution state, is established because of morality, not because of politics, not because of economics. What about all the regulations, right? A big part of the state is regulation. Why do we regulate business? Well, what are we being taught about self-interested people? What are we told that self-interested people will do? Steal, lie, and cheat. Anything. They will do anything. They'll exploit you. They'll take advantage of you. They are bad, bad people. Again, we've been taught this from when we were this big. Don't be selfish, because selfishness means lying, stealing, cheating, and exploiting. That's what the alternative we got in morality. We've got you can be selfless or you can be a bastard. Right? Those are the only two alternatives we have. Right? And none of us want to be selfless, so we're a little bit bastards and then we feel guilty about it. But if selfish people are lying, stealing, and cheating, and we know that CEOs and bankers and business people are selfish, then what must they be? Just logically. They must all be potential lying, stealing, and cheaters. So we need to control them. We need to regulate them. We need to make sure that they behave themselves. Preemptive. Right? So in the United States, you walk into an elevator and there's a little diploma on the wall that says this elevator has been inspected by a government bureaucrat and it won't fall and kill you. It doesn't literally say that, but that's the implication, right? Because we know that if we left it up to greedy businessmen, we left it up to greedy companies that make elevators, they would make elevators that kill you. Because the best way to make money under capitalism is to kill your customer. You laugh, but this is the assumption. Why do we have food inspectors? Because if not for food inspectors, who are doing it, by the way, for the public interest, they're not selfish. They're government employees, so they're doing it for the public, for public good, and they have no interests here, right? If not for these food inspectors from the government, McDonald's would poison us, right? Those Polish sausages would be rotten, right? That's the assumption. Whether we think it's funny or not, it's the reality. We have bought into it as a culture. We think businessmen are inherently corrupt and we need to preempt them. We need to establish this whole regulatory structure, and it's massive today in the West, to protect us from these greedy bastards. And now there's a tension. We want these greedy bastards to make money because we realize that's how our economy grows, but we need to control them, so we need to increase regulations to make sure that they don't lie, steal, and cheat from us. So we get the regulatory state because of morality, and we get the redistribution state because of morality. Morality is the driving force towards statism. Morality is the driving force against capitalism. It's not economics, it's not history, it's not facts, it's not the reality, it's our moral beliefs. And you have to ask about our moral beliefs. Why? Why is being selfless good? Why is self-sacrifice good? Now, nobody has an answer to that, because there is no reason. Why is the life of somebody else more important than my life? I have one shot at this life. Why should I place the interest of other people ahead of mine? There is no reason. There is no reason to sacrifice. There is no reason to be selfless. We're here once on this planet. We have one shot at this. Why not try to make our lives the best lives that it can be? Why not try to live fully and completely? Why not be self-interested? Why is that not what morality is about? After all, Aristotle, the great Greek philosopher, he thought that's what morality was about. According to Aristotle, the purpose of morality is to teach us how to achieve eudaimonia. Eudaimonia meaning flourishing or happiness. It wasn't about sacrifice. It wasn't about being selfless. It was about being self-interested in a way. What are the virtues and values that allow you to be self-interested in a way that achieves happiness, that achieves success, that achieves happiness? That's what Ayn Rand's message really is. It's we need to scrap the old morality. We need to get rid of the old moral code. And we need to establish a new moral code based on the idea that your life is the most valuable thing to you. And then you have to figure out how to live that life. It's not easy. It's not easy to figure out what will lead to happiness and what won't. We need principles of morality to do it. And by the way, it turns out that lying, stealing, and cheating are not good for you. They're not good for you. Why not? Well, they land you in jail often. That's pretty bad for you. They ruin your business. You try lying in business. People won't do business with you anymore. You try cheating in business. And the same in life. Try lying to your spouse on a regular basis. See what happens to your wife or husband. It doesn't work. It's a crummy, stupid strategy for succeeding. Except in politics. But that's because politics is force. And it's the one realm in which we expect lying, stealing, and cheating, and we don't mind it. But that tells you that something's corrupt, that something's bad, right? In business, we wouldn't tolerate it. In our personal life, we wouldn't tolerate it. Politics, we just go, that's the way of the world, right? It tells you that politicians have way too much power. Way too much power if we allow them to lie, steal, and cheat. So what we need is a new moral code. A moral code that helps guide individuals in pursuit of their own happiness, in pursuit of their own fulfillment. A moral code that recognizes that there are certain principles that are required in order to achieve success as a human beings.
To begin with, I wonder if I can ask you to capsulize. I know this is difficult. Can I ask you to capsulize your philosophy? What is Randism?
First of all, I do not call it Randism, and I don't like that name. I call it objectivism.
All right.
Meaning a philosophy based on objective reality. Now let me explain it as briefly as I can. First, my philosophy is based on the concept that reality exists as an objective absolute. That man's mind, reason, is his means of perceiving it. And that man needs a rational morality. I am primarily the creator of a new code of morality which has so far been believed impossible, namely a morality not based on faith.
On faith?
Not on faith, not on arbitrary whim, not on emotion, not on arbitrary edict, mystical or social, but on reason. A morality which can be proved by means of logic, which can be demonstrated to be true and necessary.
How does objectivism differ from the philosophies that many of us have been exposed to in our youths? Philosophies based upon religions, theologians, dogmatists.
The very first difference, objectivism tells you that it is not right, it is not proper to man to take anything on faith. Religion is a matter of faith. You accept a religion emotionally or because you were born to it. You have not chosen it rationally. What objectivism will tell you is that reason, man's reason is his basic means of survival. That is the most important faculty which he has, and he has to guide his life and make his choices by means of his rational faculty. He has to make his own choices, but he has to know how to make them. It is immoral for him to act on his emotions, to be guided by the whim of the moment. That objectivism holds as very wrong, very immoral. And morality, in fact, consists of following your reason to the best of your ability. So that rationality is the basic virtue from which all the others proceed.
My morality is based on man's life as a standard of value. And since man's mind is his basic means of survival, I hold that if man wants to live on earth and to live as a human being, he has to hold reason as an absolute, by which I mean that he has to hold reason as his only guide to action, and that he must live by the independent judgment of his own mind, that his highest moral purpose is the achievement of his own happiness, and that he must not force other people, nor accept their right to force him, that each man must live as an end in himself and follow his own rational self-interest.
Tell me the value of selfishness.
Use another word, self-esteem. The value of selfishness is that you esteem yourself as a value, that you live according to your nature, which means by the judgment of your own mind, and you respect your own mind, you respect your own ability to do the right thing, therefore you respect the possibility of being a morally virtuous person, and you regard yourself as a value worth preserving. To make a success of yourself in any line of rational activity is a great virtue, and people will attack you for exercising your ability, for hard work, for consistency, for ambition, and they will want to make you feel guilty of it. Mm-hmm. That is the greatest evil, according to my philosophy.
And wait, say that again. The greatest evil, according to your philosophy, is to attack an individual because of virtue.
What I call it is to experience or act on hatred of the good for being the good. That is attacking people for their virtues, for their achievements, for anything they have which is a value, actually, not for their flaws and not for their evil. In fact, people who preach that are the ones who are mawkish about the evil people, the failures, the liars, the cheats. Everybody who is weak suddenly acquires some kind of value. But anyone who is a success has to be attacked for his success.
And look at how you have been attacked.
Oh, I know.
How you have been criticized. There are many people in this country, forgive me, in this world who think you're daft.
They don't. They want you to think that.